Hello, my name is Audrey Gordon, and I want to welcome you to day 13 of the Dataverse Advent Calendar. Today we have a special guest that is joining us to talk about some tips and surprises on how easy it is to use Canvas apps, especially with Dataverse. You'll see as she walks through the demo so many things that make Canvas apps a snap when you're using Dataverse as your data source. To tell you a little bit about Rasika, Rasika has been working in Power Platform since the product was in early preview. She has spent extensive time doing product adoption and evangelism by educating and supporting users as they adopt the Power Platform services. Her direct exposure to working with end users has given her insights on customer pain points and product improvement areas. You'll see these things in her demo. She is currently working as a senior PM with the business applications vertical, using her customer insights to make the product better. So huge kudos to Rasika for all that she does in support of the Power Platform. And I'll let her take it away with her demo for day 13. And we'll be seeing you after this demo tomorrow for day 14 of the Dataverse Advent Calendar. Happy holidays and enjoy Rasika's demo.
Hello everyone, welcome to the 25 Days in Dataverse series. My name is Rasika and I'm going to guide you through the process of Canvas app creation for the Dataverse connector. To create a Canvas app, you need to log into Power Apps Maker portal. From either the home page or the create page, you can create an app from scratch or use the list of some of the connectors to create a basic 3-page functionality app for yourself. In my demo, I'm going to start with the Dataverse connector. When I select on the Dataverse connector, it is going to list all the connections that are there in my current environment. And as I select one of the connection instances, I get an option to select the table to which I want to connect my app. Please note that by default, the app connects to the current environment for the Dataverse table. If your app moves to another environment, the connector connects to the data in that particular environment. And this behavior works very well for an app which is using a single environment or an app that follows an ALM process for moving from development to test to production. In my demo, I'm going to connect to the users table here. So I select the users table and click on connect. When I do this, the Power Apps engine in the backend is going to build an application which can perform basic functionalities like create, read, update, and delete on the records of the users table to which I have connected to. One very important thing to note here is that the data that you can modify, create, or delete in the Dataverse will depend on the security roles and privileges that you have at the record, table, or organization level. Now, as you can see, I have got an app with 3 different screens: browse, detail, and edit. The first screen, which is my gallery, is connected to the users table and it has a functionality for searching the records. Now, if you want, you can change the layout of the gallery from this to say title, subtitle if you only want to show different kind of columns. You can also click on edit fields and change the data that you would want to show. Now here, suppose from title, I would want to show S. The next thing that people do is that because your gallery is associated with the accounts or the users table, now you would want to work on only the users whose names start with Rasika. When you click on the search icon, you right now do not see anything on the screen because your gallery is doing a search on only 3 particular columns. If I go ahead and add the column in which I want to do the search on, then it will start displaying all the users with the name Rasika in my tenant. And now I can go ahead and edit these records as per my requirement. So suppose I select this particular user here, and now I'm on a screen where I can view more details. This is called a view form. And a view form, you can also edit to see more data as per your requirement. So say I want to see address and maybe created by. As I click on add fields, I can see more data for this particular user. Now, as you browse to different screens, say edit, this is your edit. And now you can again, for your edit form, try to change the fields as you want. So I'm going to add a few more columns and say email. And I'll say primary email and click on add. And as I do that, I can have more information about this particular user. Now, if you want, you can change the title to whatever this is. You click on submit and your data gets updated at the data source. One important thing to note here is that what this gallery is doing is that you are connecting to users table, which is going to get all the data from the users table, and then you are doing the search on the records that you are trying to work on. I will discuss the concept of delegation in a short while. But before that, let's go to another tab and try to create an app from scratch. If you click on blank app, it gives you an option to create a blank canvas app, a model-driven app, or the Power Pages website. Since we have limited time, I'm only going to talk about the canvas app creation. So I click on create, I can give the name, so this demo, and I can also select the layout of my application. Do I want it to be made for tablet or phone, or yeah, those are the two. So I select phone and I click on create. Now this particular application is just a blank screen, and now I can connect to the data I want to. So to do that, you need to click on the data icon here, click on add data, and select whatever tables you want to select. So you can click on see all tables, or you can just search with users. And now I have connected to the users table. And next step will pretty much be the same. So say I click on tree view and click on adding a particular gallery, and this particular gallery will have connected to the users table here. And once I connect to the users table, I can click on edit and show the fields, change the layout I want to, show the fields that I want to show here. So I will go ahead and say address, and there you go. So this becomes the pretty much same screen for the first page. And now the next thing to note here is that I am getting all the data from the data source within my application. But do we really show all the data that is there? Probably not. If you go to settings and if you go here, you can see that we have a data row limit of 500 records. What it means is that we want to make our app lightweighted, and therefore we do not want to get a lot of data. At max, you can change this value from 500 to 2000. Consider this. If you get all the data into your application and search for the users, say whose name start with Rasika, then you can only perform that search on the top 2000 items that are there in the particular table. Therefore, the concept of delegation becomes really important. What we are saying is that instead of getting all the users' data into your application and then performing a search, use a filter and get only the records that really matter to you. So in my case, I'll say Rasika in full name. And what I'm doing is that I'm filtering the data at the server level and only getting the information that I want to work on. And this delegation is a really important concept. You can filter as much as you want and only get the relevant data into your table. Okay, so now I have a particular list of records here. I can try to make my screen a little bit more beautiful by adding a rectangle, just to add kind of a header. So I go here, add some icons, say home, and there you go. I can add another icon, say close, cancel, and add it here. You can change the properties of these particular icons. So you select here, and then you can change the color of the icons. So I'm going to change it to white, and similarly for this one, I'm going to change it to white. Okay, so I'm going to add a new screen here, and I want my headers to be like this. So I just copy everything, and so all these three, and come and paste here. The next thing I'm going to do is that I'm going to add another gallery, and this time I'm going to connect to accounts table. Data and accounts table. Okay, and one important thing to note here is that when we add data, by default it is looking at the table of the current environment. However, if you go to the three dots here, you can change the environment, select the environment in which you want to connect to. So say in my case, I want to connect to this particular environment, and then again I get the list of the tables that are there in the particular environment. But please note that we can even though you see all the environments that are there, you can only select valid connections in the table on which you have appropriate security and read privileges. Okay, so now I have my accounts table associated. I'll go ahead and do this guy, and now this. With Dataverse connector, we have a very big advantage of doing lookups. So unlike with other connectors you may have used in Power Apps, the connection to the Dataverse is direct to the current environment, which means that the performance is optimized behind the screens for you. The other thing is that you don't need to add all the tables via add data to which you want to connect to. And let me show what I mean. So in my gallery, I am going to use this guy, and now, so there you go. I'm going to change the layout of my gallery, and here instead of address 1 and city, suppose I want to connect to created by. Now if you look at the accounts table, the created by field, and let me go to the relationships here. Okay, so if you know, in the accounts table, the created by field is actually a related table to the user, and therefore in my applications, if I do created by dot full name, it will automatically reference to the user table and add the data for you. So you don't have to do additional lookups, manually add the tables that you want to connect to. Let me give you another example. So instead of main phone, I'm going to connect to the primary contact here, which is connected to the worker table. So I say primary contact dot full name, and what it does in the backend, it's going to connect to the workers table, get the full name of any primary contact that is associated with my record. And what you see here is that when you reference the primary contact in the backend, it already identified the relationship and added the table for you. This is very efficient because it helps you reduce the number of formulas that you are adding within your application, as well as you don't need to calculate all the tables and all the relationships that your primary table connects to. Okay, the next thing that I want to show is, suppose if I go ahead and insert a label and I want to connect this particular label to my revenue. Okay, there you go. So here my annual revenue for this particular user is $10,000, but I have to show the dollar sign, and for that I'll have to write a formula to format the text. Can there be a better way and an easier way to do that? Yes. If you click on the ideas here and click on text formatting, it shows you the ideas of what you can do with this particular format. So what it does in the backend, it automatically identifies that annual revenue is kind of a currency, and when you click on desired format, it gives you the information about what you want to however you want to format your data. So in my case, suppose if I select $10,000, and it automatically creates a formula for me. The moment I select the formula, I can click on apply, and now the formatting is applied at the column level for me, and it automatically does that. This for me is a very cool feature because now you don't have to do search and write formulas to format your data. Another quick example for these ideas is formatting of dates, which I know can be quite challenging. So if I click on insert text label and I add a column for date, so I say created on, and I go to ideas, do text formatting, select say this format, and now it will create a formula for me. Once I select the formula, I click on apply, and it formats the date. So this was about how to use the relationships, how to use the ideas with our application. The next thing that I would want to show is how easy it can be to use the components. Initially, what I was doing here is that as I was continuing to add more screens to the app, what I wanted was to have my header to be present on all the screens so that all my screens look uniform. And what it does is that it copy pastes all the icons and the controls that I've selected and places them right where I want. But if you look, when you have a 3-screen app, each of these header is contributing to number of controls within your application. So my 3-screen app is now a combination of 9 controls just to show the same header. So I want to cover a quick description about how you can create a component and reuse them within your application. So when you click a new component here, you can give the name as header. And now I want the height of this header to be around 80. And I go ahead and create a rectangle here, add it to my control. I go ahead and create another icon and cancel. Okay, and quickly do the formatting here. And that's pretty much it. So once I have selected this guy, there you go. Now if you come back to your screens, instead of using all these components again and again, you can just go to the screen, insert, custom, and the component that you have made. And this time what it does is that it still adds your component, but this time it's not adding 3 plus 3 plus 3 controls to each of your screens. It just adds one particular component. I feel that a lot of time, because copy paste is an easier option, what we don't realize is that the number of controls that we are adding to the app is adding to the complexity of the app, and ultimately at some point of time it will affect the performance. And therefore, while creating the Canvas app, it's always important to think what is the best optimal way to create a good Canvas app. On this note, I'm going to wind up my session. I'm looking forward to talk to you again. You have a good day. Thank you, everyone.